My name is Tamara Harris. I'm 29 years old. I'll be 30 in February. I am a survivor of domestic violence. Got married early at a young age. Was green, wet behind the ears. Stayed married for 6 years, 4 years, 6 years on paper. And I'm here. I'm a survivor, and I am an example of there is life after.
Okay. You said you were married for 6 years. Tell me a little bit about that marriage.
Well, at the beginning, it was, of course, great as usual. He swept me off my feet. I just thought he was my knight in shining armor. I said, okay, God, everything is going perfectly. I'm successful as far as, a career was going. I was making good money, got my house at an early age, and I said, okay, well, I guess the next thing on my timeline is to get married. And here comes my knight in shining armor, so why not? And he made me feel so special, did everything that, that a woman would want. He swept me off my feet. And eventually, once I got pregnant, he did a 180, and everything went down from there.
Okay. How did he do a 180? What changed?
When he wanted total control over me mentally, physically, and emotionally. He wanted limited encounters with my family. He didn't want me to have friends. He would take the car and take the keys, lock me in the house. He would force me to have sex with him after spitting in my face, after cussing me out, after calling me every name in the book. And then he'd apologize and tell me he was so sorry at the end of the day, and that he loved me so much, and that he wanted this thing to work continuously. It was just a revolving door. It was a continuous cycle, basically.
How did that make you feel when he spit in your face and then wanted sex?
It made me feel so horrible. I was ashamed, embarrassed, confused, wondering how me, ambitious me, beautiful me, goal-driven me, how me, why me, I was just confused and depressed. I eventually fell into a depressed state of mind.
Why didn't you leave?
Well, it's not as easy as you think to just get up and walk out the door. At this time, I was pregnant with child. I established a relationship, and I felt like I told him at the beginning phases that I didn't believe in divorce, and I think he used that against me. Because every time I would say, I can't take this anymore, I can't live like this, he'd say, well, remember, what the Bible says, and, you're supposed to submit to me, and, use Bible verses against me. He wanted me to walk the straight and narrow, and for him to go out and do whatever he wanted to do.
Did you tell anybody what was going on, your family, your friends, your coworkers?
It was hard to go back and tell people a different side of the story once you've painted this beautiful picture, Oh, he's great this, he's that, he has this business, that's that business, oh, he loves me so much, and we walked down the aisle. We were actually married before this stuff started to happen. So it was hard for me to open up, but people around me started to notice the difference, and I started denying it and justifying why he was doing these things, because I knew his background at this point, and I felt sorry for him, and I feel like now I have a Band-Aid spirit, so I was trying to heal him, and I saw things in him that he didn't see in himself. So yeah, I didn't really reach out to people eventually after praying, and lots of prayer, and finally getting an epiphany at 25. I said, you know what? This is not the life. This is not true love. My baby girl was 2, and I was then pregnant again with my second daughter. And before that, we separated for 6 months. He had his own apartment and everything. And he came back. He talked to the pastor. He wanted to go to marital counseling. He prayed all the time. I just want my family. I'm going to make it work. So after 6 months, I let him back. It only took 2 weeks, and I got pregnant with the second daughter. When I was 2 months pregnant, my daughter says, Mommy, when are you going to get me a new daddy that's going to be nice to you? And after that, that was my confirmation. I have to leave. I have to stand strong. And if not for myself, I have to be strong for my 2 little girls, you know. So that's where my strength came from, through my oldest daughter, Madison. Yeah.
Was it hard leaving him? I mean, did he ever try to win you back? Or?
It was very hard, very hard. Because, I mean, he conditioned me mentally, you know, and like I said, I find myself a lot of times doing things just to avoid confrontation. I mean, I got to the point, my self-esteem was so low, I got to the point to where I would walk into a building or an office building, a store, anything, and look at the ground to avoid making eye contact with any men because he would swear up and down I knew them and we had sexual encounters once upon a time. You know, he just, a lot of ridicule, called me names, accused me of so much. And
what was the
yes,
worst thing
hard.
he ever called you?
He called me bitch, you know, he called me fat. He told me, you know, when you leave me, you know, nobody's gonna want you. But then when I try to go to the gym, he say, oh baby, you're fine, I love you just like that, you're fine, what do you need to go to the gym for, you know? So he would just, you know, bitch, you know, anything to destroy me and destroy my self-esteem. That's what he tried to do. Yeah.
Did you ever question God? I know you said you had a Band-Aid spirit. Did you ever question God, like, why did you put me through this if I'm such a good person?
I would question all the time, why me? How me? Why me? How me? And then I eventually got to the point to where I said, you know, maybe I need to look at myself, you know, maybe it's me, you know, maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing, maybe I need to learn a lesson out of this. And I realized that once upon a time I did think I knew everything. I did think I had total control over my life. I did think that. And now I do know that I don't have the ultimate control. So I did experience and learn humility through this whole experience.
Okay. Do you feel like people are aware that abuse is real, or that help is needed?
I think that everyone knows that abuse is real, but I don't think that they realize how frequent these things happen. And I don't think that they realize that a lot of things that are considered abuse, they don't realize that it is abuse until after they're out of the situation. You know, a lot of people are emotionally abused, taken advantage of financially, you know, neglected emotionally and physically, and all kinds of different abuse. And no, I don't feel like it's enough people know about it, and they don't know how to go and reach for sources to get out of those situations.
So what is your advice to somebody that said it's her choice? She knew what she was getting herself into, or she provoked him to hit her, or, you know, it's her fault.
These people are manipulators, and they come around and they're like chameleons. They present themselves like the knight in shining armor. They make themselves appear to be what you deserve in your life, or what, you know, you want in your life. And then once they get you, once you fall in love, then that's when they start to turn the script on you, you know. And at that point, the woman, 9 times out of 10, she's in love already, you know, and she's has loyalty issues. She wants to hold on to it. She trusts him. She's like, oh my God, he loves me. Why is he doing me like that? And also, it's an embarrassment, you know. How do I get out of this situation? Especially when you're married, you know, when you're married and you've taken a vow. At the altar, you know, under the covenant of God, you know, that is so hard, especially when there's children involved, you know. It's very hard. It's very hard.
If your daughter I mean, God forbid she ever dated somebody like your husband. What would you do, or what would you say to her?
I would try to encourage her, and at this point, I try to live my life as an example on what, and I try to place people around her, the epitome of what she should see and what she should have in her life, positive things, because I know that once a person is in that situation, if they're not ready to leave, they're not going to leave until they realize what they're going through and that they have to get up and go, because the situation is not going to change. It's just a continuing cycle.
Do you feel like there are any red flags that girls or women can look for in a man that they can say, definitely stay away?
The signs, I believe, are there at the beginning. With my husband, I thought it was love, but I know now that it wasn't. He was just instilling fear in me, and now I can call it that. I was working the overnight shift at the airport, and he would come up there, just pop up random hours of the night. Oh, baby, I just came to bring you food. I was just checking on you. And then watching around and asking me, well, who is that guy over there? And who is that guy over there? They show their signs. You just have to pay attention and not be blinded by the emotional part or by the sexual part or how they make you feel, intimately. Pay attention. Pay attention to them and really get to know the person. I can say that I really didn't know my husband as well as I should have known him.
What would be your advice to women that don't have money, don't have family, or are scared to death? They don't have that confidence to leave. What would be that one thing that you would tell them to do?
I would say there are all kinds of hotlines. There are all kinds of shelters around. Reach out to somebody that you trust. If you don't have that somebody that you trust, they have churches all around. Somebody will listen to you. Somebody will listen to you. It doesn't have to be in your immediate circle. If you're embarrassed, if you're ashamed, you can't always feel comfortable going to a police station. That's why we have women's shelters, and we have different places where women can go to, or anybody that's abused can go to and seek help and guidance. Now, once you get into that situation, you have to realize that there is life after, and you can leave everything behind. Those are material things. One day, if this continues, somebody's going to leave out in a body bag. Either you're going to snap, because I can attest, I had nights where I was shaking, rocking. I was going to kill him. I was going to kill him. And nobody knows that about me, because, I'm sweet Tamara, But he pushed me to that point, spitting on me, cussing me out every night. I'm the mother of your children. I'm your wife. And you tell me, you're going to give me pussy tonight? Me? I'm not your whore. I'm your wife, So I got to that point to where I wanted to actually kill him, So, you have to play those things in your mind. Do I want to hold on to what's there, to a person that does not mean anything, does not mean good to me? Or do I want to seek help? Do I want better for my future? Do I want a better life? We only live one time as far as we're concerned, So there's always, it's never too late. It's never too late. Once you walk away, you can start over. You can seek help. There are all kinds of organizations out there to assist, and they're there to listen. They're there to listen.
Do you forgive your husband for everything? I'm sorry, your ex-husband.
I forgive him. And yes, I am divorced. And I thank God for my baby girl. I was confused and didn't know what to do when I found out I was pregnant with her. But at the end of the day, I'm grateful. God knows what God knows what he was doing. My oldest daughter was very close to her father, and she needed Michaela. She needed the baby to keep her occupied. I needed the both of them to keep me so occupied that I didn't have time to think about what he was trying to do. When he would pop up to my house and knock on the door, baby, open the door. When he would pop up at my job and try to tell me, baby, I miss you. I just want my family back. I didn't have time to think about that. I was done. But yeah, what was the question?
You forgive him?
I forgive him. I forgive him. I forgive him completely. I do.
If you had to tell him anything, what would you tell him?
Well, I've actually written him a letter. After having to go through all that, and I couldn't afford to get my divorce done, and when I was going to different places in town, because I live in the suburbs, it was not hard, but because I was working, I didn't qualify for a lot of things, and I knew I had to keep working. So what I did was I got a book, I read, I conducted my own divorce. I stood before the courts, I changed my name and everything. And after that, I felt even better than I felt on my wedding day. It was such a relief. But I've gotten my divorce, and I'm thankful that he signed off on my divorce papers. I thought he was going to give me the runaround, but because I stood strong, and he knew I was serious. He knew I was serious. So, yes, I forgive him completely. I forgive him. And I've actually written him a letter. And would you like for me to read it?
Yes, please.
Okay. I thought it was true love, but I was wrong. My dad always tells me, girl, all you ever wanted to do was play house, be someone's wife. And I was just that to you at an early age, before I matured and experienced life. You were my knight in shining armor, the man of my dreams, so I thought. Until I became pregnant with our firstborn. You wanted total control of me, mentally, physically, and emotionally. I found myself in a state of depression, confused, ashamed, and lost, wondering how me, through much prayer and humility, I was finally able to put my pride to the side and realize this was not true love. Thank God for my children and the lessons that I've learned. I stand here today to say, I forgive you completely, and I pray for your healing. I'm still standing, and I am an example of there is life after.
Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay, so you did awesome. Unless you have any final words to say to women that are watching this.
Always know that even if you go through something, your family is always going to be there. Don't be ashamed. Well, I can't say don't be ashamed because it's human nature to have those feelings. But once you go through and you make it through, your family, you will have to hear backlash from your family. But it's only through love. They're only telling you these things from love, and they're always going to be there through thick and thin. And I thank God for my family and my small circle of friends that still stand, and my children also. And if you are going through something, you only live once, please, please, please get out. Get out. Pray about it, and make sure you have your ducks in order, and leave.